The anime begins with a pitching scene, a seemingly lifeless state. A girl and a boy lie motionless until an angelic figure transforms and approaches them. The angel with a gentle touch places her hand on the boy, Ash Blake's heart, magically regenerating his body parts. As Ash regains consciousness, he finds himself beneath a girl who explains that this ritual is essential for entrusting her son. The surreal experience jolts Ash awake, dismissing it as just a dream, although bandages on his arm suggest otherwise. Later at the academy, students engage in conversation with Jessica, a prominent figure. Ash's arrival sparks speculation about his presence with the seniors, leading to his momentary flare-up at a fellow student. As tensions ease, the class receives instructions about their 3-year senior course at Dragonar Academy. The teacher imparts historical insights emphasizing the pride and responsibility expected of Anne Sullivan Dragonar Academy students. The tale unfolds with a blend of mysticism, intrigue, and the challenges awaiting Ash in this enigmatic academy. Following an incident in class, Raymond introduces Ash to the 4th princess of Lautremont Night Country, the arrogant Sylvia Lautremont. Sylvia, visibly annoyed, hails from a prestigious lineage as the 4th princess. Raymond then guides Ash to the main corridor hall, where he introduces the 3rd-year president, Rebecca Randall, lauding her as the academy's best maestro. The narrative shifts to the training arena, where a fierce battle ensues among dragon riding participants. Ash's dragon, Bridget, displays exceptional prowess, but unexpectedly collides with Sylvia's dragon, Lancelot. Although the situation is resolved, Sylvia remains furious and slaps Ash. She provocatively suggests that Ash's pal might be dead, provoking his intense anger. In an attempt to settle the matter, Sylvia proposes a challenge. If Ash outperforms her in the upcoming Ares Dragonair Festival, she will retract her words and apologize. Eager to prove himself, Ash readily accepts the competition. As the Ares Dragonair Festival commences, the dragon race unfolds. Ash swiftly overtakes Sylvia, leaving her behind on his dragon. The rivalry between Ash and Sylvia takes center stage, setting the stage for further confrontations and developments in the Dragonar Academy. In the aftermath of the dragon race, Ash finds himself beside a group of 3 girls from the academy who recognize him as the notorious problem child. Amidst the chaos, one of the girls is thrown from her dragon, and Ash, seemingly trapped at the dead end, reflects on the thrill he felt competing with Sylvia. However, his attention is diverted when he notices something in the nearby forest. Venturing into the woods, Ash encounters a man in blue attire and a formidable girl named Anya. Their introduction escalates into an intense battle where Anya appears to overpower Ash. To his surprise, Anya refrains from delivering a fatal blow with her sword, leaving him bewildered. In a sudden turn of events, as Ash attempts to save Anya from falling off a cliff, he too plummets. During the fall, a radiant light emits from Ash's hand, giving birth to a mysterious girl who seems to be Ash's pal. Ash contemplates whether the girl is truly his pal when she suddenly awakens. As she surveys her surroundings, their eyes meet. However, in a swift realization, Ash's pal punches him, expressing her displeasure at his proximity, while she is unclothed. Later on at night, Ash's pal moves on top of him and starts making love. The following morning, Princess Rebecca pays Ash a visit, and during their discussion, Ash's pal wakes up, finding herself completely naked. Quick to act, Ash covers her with a blanket. Rebecca provides some spare clothes, revealing that Dr. Cornwall will be conducting an investigation on the girl. To Ash's surprise, the president instructs them to live together until the investigation concludes. Rebecca also informs Ash that she has arranged for his pal's expenses and advises him to speak to the registrar. Later at the market, Ash's pal, now named Echo, starts feeling unwell. In a peculiar moment, Echo's actions draw attention from the crowd as she awkwardly licks Ash's body. Sylvia arrives, expressing disappointment, and a mishap with her attire leads to an unintentioned revelation, followed by a punch to Ash's face. Cosette arrives to treat Echo, and Sylvia, realizing her earlier mistake, apologizes. Ash decides to name his pal Echo, following the tradition of the first breeder, Rosa Maria. Their bond solidifies, and later Ash, Sylvia, and Cosette embark on a search for Echo. Sylvia advises Ash to focus on his star brand and successfully leads them to Echo's location. They find a Fafnirite stone and discover Echo being experimented on by Dr. Cornwall. As Ash confronts Dr. Cornwall, the researcher attempts to incapacitate everyone, but Ash resists and overpowers her. They freeze Echo from captivity. Back at school, Angela Cornwall, seemingly undeterred, introduces herself to a group of students, suggesting that the story is far from over. Rebecca Randall is sitting extremely close to Ash, and when asked for the reason, Rebecca reveals that one should always sit close to their companion. Soon as Ash requests Rebecca to stay back, she reveals that she wants him. Additionally, Rebecca discloses that she summoned Ash to the student council for a reason and asks him if he doesn't want to be on the student council. Meanwhile, Sylvia is taking care of her pal, Lancelot, and they both seem to share a great bond. Sylvia contemplates that Ash must be hiding something up his sleeves, since he can easily deceive other pals. Suddenly, Sylvia hears a warning scream from a man addressing everyone, stating that a dragon has been set loose. Sylvia immediately goes to handle the situation. Meanwhile, Rebecca mentions to Ash that ever since the war 52 years ago, the Zephyros Empire has mistaken Anne Sullivan Dragonar Academy for a military school. Rebecca reveals that it is not. As they discuss this, Rebecca hears chaos outside and immediately goes to check it out. They misunderstand the situation, thinking Sylvia is acting out of spite for Ash. Rebecca immediately summons Arch to handle the current situation. Later, Anya is seen running in the streets, hiding and keeping an eye on Ash. After coming to a halt, Anya wonders if she recognizes Ash Blake. Meanwhile, Ash and Iko are met by Rebecca and Sylvia, and they all proceed to move inside a cafe. In the cafe, when asked for the reason, Rebecca hands over the date tickets to the Dragonar festival to Ash. She reveals that the Highness has had a lot on her mind recently, and so Rebecca has decided to talk and make her open up that day. On the other hand, Milgos asks Anya how the town has been, and Anya reveals that it has been relaxed. Shortly after, Milgos proceeds to summon the promised child of Magica Technica, and Iko immediately starts sensing that something is off. The clouds go dark, and the atmosphere darkens even more as the promised son of Magica Technica wreaks havoc upon the city. The guys notice that the dragon actually has rotten flesh, which is dripping down all over the place. Thereupon, the dragon captures Iko with its tentacles and starts squeezing her. As Rebecca strikes with her attack, the dragon regenerates itself. Meanwhile, Sylvia appears stunned, but Ash helps her snap out of it and immediately requests her to summon Lancelot and let him ride it. Sylvia proceeds to do so, and meanwhile, Echo is inside the dragon's stomach. Thereupon, a lady reveals to Echo that Ash doesn't yet possess the power to face off a necromancia, a dead dragon reborn by artificial means. In a turn of events, the bond between Echo and Ash turns out to be stronger than the dragon's overwhelming power, and Ash is provided with an armor suit. Feeling more confident now, Ash jumps onto the dragon, believing that there is no dragon he cannot ride. Ash succeeds and takes the dragon under his control. He then proceeds to use the divine sword and manages to free Echo from within the dragon. Later, after all the mayhem and chaos, Rebecca is still urging Sylvia and Ash to join the student council. Determined to not let events like this happen ever again, Sylvia and Ash agree to join the council. Sylvia appears to be telling a story about the time right after her 7th birthday, during the Orphan's Rite when the mother dragon gifted humans with baby dragons. On the other hand, as Echo is sleeping soundly, Ash notices a dragon plushie, and he seems to recognize the dragon but can't really remember. Later, Rebecca introduces Sylvia as in charge of public morals. After giving her speech, Sylvia introduces Ash to the academy as in charge of general affairs. As Ash finishes his speech, Raymond is the first one to clap as he believes in Ash's potential, and shortly after, the whole crowd joins in and starts applauding for Ash's speech. Lastly, the first humanoid demon, Echo, is introduced as the newest member of the Students' Council. However, she appears to act awkwardly as she goes on the stage. Later on, Ash mentions to Echo that the crowd did see how interesting she was and felt a bond with her. Echo inquires if that is a good thing, and in response, Ash reveals that they all want to be her friends. The first job Ash is assigned is to take down any posters posted without permission. Meanwhile, somewhere in a distant and barren land, an army is charging towards the Ironblood Valkyrie, who stands confident, alone, and with a sword in her hand. As the army closes in, the Ironblood Valkyrie slashes each one of them in a matter of seconds, and stands victorious towards the end. Meanwhile, at the academy, Jessica Valentine and Junio Lynette Worth introduce themselves as president and vice president, respectively, of the Silver Knight fan club to Ash's class. Soon as Jessica starts asking for the one who defeated the Necromancia, Sylvia stands up and asks for Jessica to leave. Thereupon, Jessica reveals that her ambition is to bear the children of the Silver Knight. Soon, Jessica receives more information about the one who defeated the Necromancia from Lynette, and shortly after, Ash stands up and asks for Jessica to leave as they have to take their class. Rebecca intervenes and mentions to Jessica that she has to discuss something with the members of the student council. In order to get back at her, Jessica demands for the Students' Council to reveal more information about the recent necromancia incident. However, when Rebecca whispers something into Jessica's ear, she leaves infuriated and angered. Before leaving, Jessica mentions that she will win the war. Later in a discussion, Rebecca mentions that if Jessica ever finds the Silver Knight, she will become a noble, even though she is not one as of yet. Moreover, the Ark only listens to the call of nobles, and if Jessica is to get together with the Silver Knight, then she can even have Arch's control. Furthermore, Rebecca advises Ash to be more careful, as Jessica is a very tenacious girl. Meanwhile, Sylvia sees a vision of her elder sister, the Iron-Blood Valkyrie, and Glenn being in the Anne Sullivan already. Later on, Cosette reveals to Echo, Ash, and Raymond that Veronica, Sylvia's older sister, didn't get selected as a breeder, which is why she rebelled against the rejection by strengthening her body and perfecting her sword skills. Later, as Ash goes over to console and comfort Sylvia, she puts on a brave face and gets away from Ash. After a while, Sylvia is seen not wanting to give up, as she made a promise to a boy earlier from her childhood that she would stand tall and remain an upstanding knight. Shortly after, as Sylvia steps outside, Veronica's personal vehicle, the magic ship Sylvanus, hovers over the place and lands closer to Sylvia and Co. And shortly after, Veronica steps out of her ship. Soon as Veronica asks for Sylvia to step up, Cosette, in disguise as Sylvia, immediately comes forward, and they both share greetings. However, Veronica's keen eyes can sense that it's not her sister, leading Veronica to slash her sword at Cosette, resulting in her revealing her true self. Shortly after, Sylvia immediately comes running to Veronica and mentions that it's been a long time since they have seen each other. However, Veronica notices Sylvia shaking and starts mocking her for it. Moreover, in order to punish her, Veronica slashes her sword towards Sylvia's shirt, resulting in Sylvia's breasts getting revealed as she kneels down immediately from embarrassment while covering herself. Immediately, Ash steps up and speaks in favor of Sylvia. However, when Veronica discovers that the common student is actually Ash Blake, she asks for Glenn to seize him. Meanwhile, as Anya is busy in her thoughts, a boy comes rushing in and immediately informs Anya about Veronica's arrival in the city. The boy further reveals that due to this news, all the people have started leaving to avenge their friends from Veronica without even a battle plan. Later, Primrose Shelley gets put in charge of providing Ash guidance. Later on, Ash appears to be tired as he sits at a table drinking coffee when suddenly he notices the book, The Heavenly Dragonar, which is where the Silver Knight thing started. Later on, Ash gets prepared as Veronica wants to see him. Shortly after, Ash and others are in a bath where Veronica gets familiarized with Echo and Ash and discovers that Echo is the one who created Arch for Ash, and Ash is the one who took control of the dragon. Soon, Sylvia joins the bath as well, and it gets revealed that Primrose and Cosette are actually siblings. During the bath, Veronica mentions to Sylvia that she came bearing a marriage proposal. Moreover, Veronica reveals that she wants Sylvia to marry one of her knights, Glenn, with whom Sylvia has actually shared a bond during her early days. Concerned about her family's lineage, Veronica wants Sylvia to make children and carry their family's bloodline. Soon, Ash intervenes and asks Veronica to at least give Sylvia a chance to prove that she can fulfill her dream. Veronica then decides to give Sylvia a chance to prove herself in the match that will be played in honor of Veronica. However, Sylvia fails to do so as she gets knocked out during the event. Later, as she is resting, Glenn arrives to deliver a message from Veronica and conveys that Sylvia has to visit Saint Valeria the day after to seek repentance. Moreover, Glenn reveals that the Princess Veronica is furious at Sylvia's lack of ability. As Glenn is about to leave, Sylvia stops and asks him if he is really willing to take her as his wife. Glenn responds swiftly and mentions that if Veronica commands, then he will. Soon as Ash enters the room, he confronts Glenn and mentions that he is just a puppet. However, Glenn, after instructing Ash to know his place, leaves. Later, Rebecca holds a meeting with Ash where she mentions a terrorist attempting to assassinate Veronica 5 years ago. Meanwhile, Sylvia is seeking repentance at Saint Valeria when suddenly Jessica arrives and starts praying for her to get impregnated by the Silver Knight. Soon as Jessica and Sylvia engage in an argument, an unexpected event occurs, and a dragon lands inside Saint Valeria. On top of the dragon is the guerrilla terrorist, Avdoka. As Ash and Veronica, accompanied by her men, explore the city, they notice smoke rising from Saint Valeria. Ash suggests rushing to help Sylvia, but Glenn and Veronica head to their Sylvanus ship, considering it a strategic point for their plans. At the Sylvanus, Veronica attempts to communicate with the source of the disturbance in the church. Veronica discovers that Avdoka, who attempted to kill her 5 years ago, is causing the mayhem. Avdoka reveals Jessica suspended midair next to a ticking bomb set to destroy the church. She announces her intention to kill a hostage every time the church bell rings, leaving them less than an hour. Avdoka's ultimate goal is to claim Veronica's head, and she is determined to go to extremes to achieve it. Surprisingly, Jessica reveals that she willingly sacrificed herself, and Anya is identified among the hostages. Later on, as Ash is closing in on the church with his hands up in the air, in a flashback, Rebecca appoints Ash to be the negotiator, since Avdoka and her men have no idea that Ash is capable of Dragonar level power. Moreover, Rebecca and her men decide to use the underground passage and break through the church's foundation from below. Additionally, this time Ash has requested Eiko to build him a special kind of arch. Soon Ash steps inside and asks for Avdoka to stop resisting and give up. However, in a whisper, Avdoka reveals to Ash that she's actually looking for her long-lost sister and mentions that only Veronica might be aware of her. As this conversation progresses, a baby tries to breastfeed on Anya, which results in her making a noise, and Avdoka notices it. The time for a hostage to be killed arrives as well, and Avdoka decides to kill Anya first. However, Sylvia interferes and stands in front of Anya, mentioning that she is the fourth princess and Veronica's sister. Avdoka, in result, slashes her sword, tearing down Sylvia's clothes. Ashamed, Sylvia immediately covers herself and starts weeping. However, soon she realizes her weakness, and in a fit of determination, Sylvia declares herself as reborn and embraces her new look as she stands tall, naked, waiting to make Avdoka pay. Soon Glenn and Rebecca arrive for their aid, and they all take care of Avdoka and her men with their combined forces. Later, as the battle concludes, Jessica wastes no time and immediately goes on to have intercourse with Ash, as she has now realized that he is the Silver Knight. However, soon Rebecca arrives and backs Jessica off. Ash then goes over to Sylvia to see if she is fine and goes on to lift her to carry her home. Furthermore, while on her back, Sylvia feels a sense of nostalgia. After the tumultuous night at home, Jessica once again attempts to initiate intimacy with Ash, leading to a confrontation with Echo. Echo, angered by the disturbance, beats Jessica to the point of unconsciousness. Rebecca intervenes, carrying Jessica away, while Echo delivers a stern beating to Ash for his involvement. The following day at school, Ash is surprised to find that Jessica is joining the students' council. Later, as Ash heads to Veronica for an explanation, it is revealed that Avdoka and the entire incident were orchestrated by Veronica to teach her sister Sylvia a lesson. However, the revelation about Avdoka searching for her long-lost sister is genuine. In the end, Cosette shares with Ash that the Sylvanus is named after Sylvia, illustrating Veronica's deep affection for her sister. Veronica bids farewell and departs from the scene. What happens when love, duty, and a sister's secret collide in this gripping tale? Let's unravel together. Echo awakens from a harrowing nightmare, haunted by a spectral force that seemed like necromancy crawling over her, leaving her bed in an unfortunate state. Sharing the bizarre encounter with Ash, she's met with laughter, prompting her to deliver a decisive punch to bring him back to reality. Anya, on the other hand, endeavors to secure employment at a restaurant, succeeding in securing a waitress position post-interview. Meanwhile, Raymond Ash participates in a ceremony where adept Dragonars are chosen for an exclusive training camp, an essential stride toward elite status. However, Luca, a remarkable gifted student expected to be selected, is notably absent, having skipped classes for 3 consecutive months. Despite her extraordinary talent, even surpassing Rebecca's achievements, she remained mysteriously missing. During the ceremony, the host surprises the audience by announcing a special invitee. To everyone's astonishment, Ash is added to the list. Seeking clarification, Ash questions Rebecca, who attributes his selection to his remarkable feats, emphasizing his undeniable talent. They receive urgent news that smoke is emanating from Luca's room, prompting a swift investigation. To their surprise, they find Luca peacefully asleep in a coffin, surrounded by thick smoke from burning incense. Rebecca sheds light on Luca's identity as a Neck-Bladian Equilibrian, a fairy of the forest, and a member of a warrior clan with numerous dragons. Rebecca discloses that Luca has been unable to connect with her dragon, Gawain, for 3 months, endangering the dragon's life. A severed bond means no astral flow, a vital life force connection for dragons. Concerned for Gawain's well-being, Rebecca stresses the importance of re-establishing the connection. Meanwhile, Anya, gearing up for her role as a waitress, also seizes the opportunity to delve into the investigation. Shortly afterward, Eiko confides in Ash about her unsettling nightmare, dampening her spirits. However, Ash, with his comforting words, succeeds in dispelling the shadows and restoring her usual vibrancy. In the ensuing scene, Ash observes Luca heading to the Dragon's Pen in another attempt to forge a connection with Gawain. Witnessing Gawain chasing her away, Ash empathizes with Luca's struggle. Rebecca suggests a potentially perilous solution. Ash, riding Gawain to communicate with the dragon and uncover the reason behind his rejection of Luca. Explaining the plan to Luca, she cautiously agrees to accompany them to the Dragon's Pen. Upon their arrival, Gawain roars, causing Luca to flee in fear. Despite Rebecca's attempts to intervene, Luca remains unprepared for the intimidating encounter. What secrets lie within the smoke-filled room, and can Ash bridge the gap between a dragon and its desperate rider? What do you think? Let us know in the comments section below. Ash urges Luca to attempt communication with Gawain again. However, as Luca reached out to touch him, Gawain roared loudly, prompting her swift retreat. Eiko swiftly summoned Ashark, the Silver Knight, to intervene, attempting to reach Gawain. Instead, Ash was met with aggression, tearing a sizable hole in the cage's wall. In the chaos, Ash inadvertently took a hit from Gawain's magic attack, rendering him unconscious. Upon regaining consciousness, Ash sought permission to speak with Luca. Rebecca granted approval on the condition that Eiko accompanied him. The scene transitioned to Luca, reminiscing about her initial encounter with Gawain, when he was a mere baby, holding him tightly. When Ash approaches Luca, she proposes joining a training camp in the Albion Forest to aid in Gawain's recovery. Unexpectedly, Eiko erupts in anger, slamming the table and cursing at Ash. This outburst triggers memories for Luca, leading her to a pivotal decision to participate in the training camp. The story shifts to Anya, reporting on the Academy training camp, to Milgos, a proficient expert in resurrecting deceased dragons. The Albion Forest, rich with the remains of young dragons, serves as an ideal ground for experimentation. They agree to convene there the next morning. Simultaneously, Rebecca and the Academy students gear up for the impending training camp, departing on their respective dragons. Upon arrival, a briefing precedes the training, with Anya participating as a support staff. While the atmosphere is festive for most, Ash appears visibly concerned. Unexpectedly, Jessica arrives, whisking Ash away for an impromptu honeymoon. Meanwhile, Rebecca and Princess Sylvia prepare to swim in the lake, drawing attention with their alluring outfits, particularly from male students. Eiko, driving Lancelot, intervenes, inviting Princess Sylvia to assist Ash. As night falls, Ash follows Luca, who walks alone to meet Gawain. Luca vents her frustrations, but as she attempts to touch Gawain, he roars once again. Ash intervenes, compelling Gawain to communicate, leading to an attack on Ash. A frantic chase ensues, culminating in a confrontation where Luca attempts to mediate. However, Ash is determined to ride Gawain, resulting in a defensive magical retaliation that leaves Ash unconscious. The following morning, Ash prepares to depart from the Land of Spirits. Natty expresses hope in Ash's ability to resolve the issue, and Navi kisses him, referring to Ash as the Knight of Avalon. Upon waking in his room, Ash discovers Luca sleeping beneath him, gripping his legs. After sharing a revealing dream with Luca, she decides to aid Gawain. Meanwhile, Professor Angela discovers a hidden room with stored dragons, stumbling upon an ancient testament book. Unbeknownst to her, Milgos and Enya appear behind her as she reads. Startled, Professor Angela sees Julius and Nogas. Anya causes her to faint, and Milgos prepares to unleash necromancia. Luca delivers the disconcerting news that Gawain has vanished. Jessica speculates that he might be at Willingham Mausoleum, drawing parallels to a tale of Nuada, a dragon that severed its astral connection with its breeder and perished in the mausoleum. The team led by Ash sets out for the building, leaving Rebecca and the students enjoying a campfire. Milgos lurks within the mausoleum, activating a spell to resurrect deceased dragons in the building and surrounding forest. The dragons, using tentacles, ensnares the girls, but Lancelot intervenes, breaking free with a powerful breath. Mounted on Lancelot, the team rushes into the building, catching Rebecca and others' attention. Ash, noticing the impending danger, instructs Eiko to craft an arch for him. Although his physical condition is not ideal, Ash convinces Eiko to create an arch compatible with his current health. Eiko, vulnerable in the workshop, relies on Ash for protection as they prepare for the imminent confrontation with Milgos and the resurrected dragons. Entering the building, the team confronts Milgos, who utters words to Sylvia reminiscent of Julius's usual phrases. Milgos proceeds to resurrect Nuada to engage the team in battle, while Iko heads to the workshop seeking Navi's assistance for the arch she plans to build. Navi proposes a deal. In exchange for a pre-made arch armor, Iko must commit to constructing an original arch for Ash in the future, surrendering her body and power to him when the time comes. The necromancia intensifies its assault, capturing Iko's body. Frustration mounts in Ash as he desperately calls out Iko's name. Suddenly, Iko returns from the workshop with the arch ready. Activating it swiftly, the armor forms around Ash, eager to confront Milgos. Ash is cautioned by Iko that the armor is designed for defense, not offense. Simultaneously, Rebecca and the students face the challenge of battling undead dragons. Overwhelmed by their sheer number, in a fierce encounter, Ash engages Milgos, while Sylvia and the team successfully defeat Nuada. The struggle against the necromancia unfolds as both battles reach a critical juncture. Milgos hastily retreats upon realizing the imminent capture if he lingers. Meanwhile, the chaos caused by the undead dragons persists. In a courageous move, Luca leaps off a cliff, channeling her emotions to Gawain. She vows not to fear riding him again, instantly restoring their astral connection. Gawain responds by flying to her and Luca, and now confidently riding him becomes a symbol of hope. She casts a purification spell, vanquishing the dragons and reuniting with her loyal companion. In the aftermath, Milgos reports the operation's outcome to his mysterious superior, who discloses that their plan will unfold during the Intercontinental Congress. Subsequently, Sylvia receives an invitation from her father to attend the Congress, with specific instructions to bring Ash and Iko along. What secrets lie within the mausoleum, and can Ash and Iko overcome the challenges thrown their way? Let's hope that this pitching secret reveals soon. In summary, upon arriving downtown, they were greeted by Frida Shelley, the court-made chief, who informed them that Princess Sylvia had been summoned to meet with the Paladin. In the meeting room, Ash encounters Prim, who, due to a mishap with her dirty uniform, was mopping the floor in a swimsuit. An unintentional splash led to a change into maid uniforms, and a comical incident unfolded with Frida's dress. Upon reaching her father's room, Princess Sylvia was surprised to find him overjoyed, ready to embrace her, but she responded with a punch. They discussed the Intercontinental Congress, where Sylvia's father expressed a desire to spend time with her. Sylvia inquired about her brother Julius, prompting a conversation, revealing a discrepancy in her father's explanation. At night, Ash and Iko explored the city with Prim's company. The city's history, including Durham's founding of Latrimat Night Dorm, was recounted. Iko, joyfully playing in a fountain, prompted Prim's exhaustion. Observing couples holding hands, Iko questioned the gesture, leading Ash to hold her hand. Embarrassed, they witnessed a romantic moment before noticing an airplane representing one of the Congress guests from Bitterhausen with a unicorn symbol. Shortly after, Ash changed into formal attire, and Princess Sylvia emerged gracefully, leaving Ash visibly flustered. Iko, annoyed at not receiving praise, remained rude, while Princess Sylvia's father, the Paladin, warmly greeted Ash and Iko during a shared meal. During the meal, Ash was formally enthroned as a Dragonite by the Paladin. Princess Sylvia inquired about the absence of the Emperors of Furrows, learning that they were too elderly to travel, but had sent a representative. The scene shifts to Anya, witnessing Milgos making a surprising gesture with his left hand. Klaus Widerhausen, a noble from the Zafuros family and a longtime acquaintance of Nilbas, was also present. Klaus unveiled a giant magic device Milgos planned to use. Anya was assigned the task of kidnapping Echo for experimental purposes. The narrative then transitioned to the following morning when Princess Sylvia awoke from a dream about meeting Necromancia. Realizing that Necromancia was Julius Powell Mordred, she confided in Princess Veronica about Milgos, expressing a suspicion that Milgos was Julius. Sylvia's revelation was met with disbelief from Glenn. However, Princess Veronica urged Sylvia to keep this information confidential. The next day, Sylvia confides in Ash about the Julius situation, needing to unburden herself. Meanwhile, in another part of the palace, Prim and Iko are choosing clothes. Prim inadvertently reveals Iko's dragon nature and warns her against developing romantic feelings for Ash. She emphasizes that Ash will eventually marry a human and have children. Overwhelmed, Iko flees the room with those words echoing in her mind. Realizing her blunder, Prim chases after Iko. In Ash's room, he confronts Sylvia, who is overjoyed by his understanding. Their intimate moment is interrupted when Cosette walks in, causing Sylvia to abruptly step away. As Sylvia leaves, Echo, still running, reaches the old, abandoned palace, realizing she's lost. Prim follows and the duo falls into Anya's trap. Iko is kidnapped, leaving Prim behind. At the gala, Ash remains unaware of recent events. Claus appears and Milgos serves as his assistant. Despite Ash's inclination to confront Milgos, Sylvia prevents him, recognizing the inappropriateness of such a confrontation at the gala. During the dance, Ash's focus is entirely on Milgos. Milgos later approaches Sylvia, asking her to dance. During their dance, Sylvia directly questions him about being Julius, but he avoids giving a clear answer. After the dance, Prim arrives, disclosing Iko's kidnapping and taking responsibility for the incident. Despite Sylvia scolding Prim, Ash refrains from blaming her. Learning about Iko's abduction, Ash is eager to challenge Milgos, but Sylvia intervenes again. She asserts that the kidnappers likely have no intention of harming Iko, deducing that Claus's battleship is the most plausible hiding place within the city. Inside the ship, Iko has been thrown into the machine. They activate the sequence to turn her into a dragon. They keep pumping her with millennium, but it doesn't seem to be working. Meanwhile, Ash and Sylvia are on their way. The scientist pumps Iko with all they have, and she begins to react to it. The chamber holds her bursts open and destroys half of the ship with it. A cocoon surfaces out of the ship and floats to the sky. Lancelot gets to a stage and he gets scared to go any further. Sylvia and Ash need to go down and watch from a distance. The maestros soar towards the golden symbol, revealing a colossal white dragon, Iko. Meanwhile, at the palace, Princess Veronica is infuriated to learn that the maestros are defying the order of the Arch-Dragonaires. Prioritizing the safety of the guests, she attempts to intervene. Iko unleashes chaos on Claus's boat, creating a diversion. Claus at the palace works to tarnish the image of the La Tremont kingdom in the eyes of the guests. In a dramatic encounter, Princess Veronica crosses paths with Milgos, who reveals his true identity as Mordred, the soul of Julius's deceased pal. Mordred explains that after Julius eliminated him, he inhabited Julius' body, driven by a desire to destroy humanity and consume their bodies. Glenn, believing in Julius' innocence, confronts Milgos, but Mordred swiftly incapacitates him, breaking free from Milgos. Mordred transforms into mist, enveloping Veronica in Necromancia's body parts. Half-conscious, Veronica finds herself in Julius's arms. Mordred seizes the opportunity and enters Iko's body. Iko, wreathing in pain, transforms into a nine-eyed Necromancia. In the spirit world, Mordred encounters Navi, who reveals herself as more than just a navigator. She is Dragwise. Mordred proposes a union to become the Lord of Darkness, but Navi, aligned with Iko and Ash's journey to become Avalon Knights, refuses. Mordred attempts to forcibly extract Navi's power. Unexpectedly, Julius, Princess Veronica, and Glenn arrive. Julius advises Ash to separate Iko and Mordred. With Navi holding Mordred, Ash and Julius board Veronica's plane. Ash is surprised to learn that Princess Veronica is afraid of Julius, who was using compromising material to coerce her into providing the ship. Intent on taming Mordred, Ash faces an attack instead. Dragons intervene as the ship's condition is unfavorable. Julius urges Ash to jump from the ship, leading to a precise landing. However, Sylvanus, manipulated by Julius, plummets and explodes. The situation escalates as the struggle in the spirit world and the events on the ship unfold in tandem. The scene shifts to Iko, confined in a cage, until Navi appears and shares vital information with her. Witnessing Ash's struggles, Iko cries. With Navi's guidance, Iko presents the original arc to Ash, and when Ash unexpectedly falls, Luca grabs her hand. Rebecca, Max, and others rush to Ash's aid. Mordred attempts to attack Lancelot, but Princess Sylvia intervenes. Rebecca, wielding a spear, successfully strikes Mordred's hand. Despite Mordred's power aimed at Ash, he unexpectedly acquires his rudimentary original arc. Drawing Excalibur's sword, Ash skillfully counters Mordred's attacks, severing his horn. This causes Mordred's gradual disappearance, along with the surrounding dark cloud. Iko emerges from Mordred's body, embracing Ash as they float in the air. In another location, Anya, injured and limping, is captured by royal troops led by Avdoka. Avdoka discovers that Anya is her long-lost sister who has been missing for a significant period. Gathered in Ash's room, Julius senses Mordred's soul fleeing towards the eastern sky, leading to the cancellation of the Intercontinental Congress. As everyone exits to let Ash and Iko rest, Ash apologizes for Iko's arm injury. Iko expresses her feelings, sheds tears before sharing a gentle kiss with Ash, marking the end of the story.